After he passed away, I had connected. Val had plugged. We separated things because we knew things were getting heavy and they were gonna get rough, and the road was gonna get rough. And I think they didn't want me to get caught up in their shit, so they created some insulation and set me up. And
Flores twins are known as being key to El Chapo's conviction. And
you see the case for what it is. You see the holes in the case and how the shit was brought to your doorstep. And you realize...
You're speaking from their perspective.
From their perspective, or anybody that has a case. There's always a case.
Flores twins are known as being key to El Chapo's conviction.
You see the case for what it is. You see the holes in the case and how the shit was brought to your doorstep. And you realize...
You're speaking from their perspective.
From their perspective, or anybody that has a case. There's always a case that started by someone setting you up, and then that guy's not even in your case. So, then the people who are in the case and left with the shit on their stoop are sitting there trying to sort it out to try to lower the impact of the situation.
And they when they went off the radar and came back on the radar, because this is a big article about this, they called up a bunch of guys who had been some of their customers in Chicago, some were from Detroit, and they set them up. Yeah. But these were guys that had done what?
Well, they were constantly being kidnapped, followed to be kidnapped.
Like I know they're kidnapping Milwaukee.
One of the brothers was kidnapped.
That was Pedro. We know Pedro was the unlucky one that always ended up kidnapped.
You were around at that.
Yeah, I was around, and
tell us about kidnapping and like.
I mean, it's the same.
How does it ripple
into the same shit as you see in the movies, except there's no fucking feds in the negotiations. It's a dark conversation. Someone's calling you, telling you, "Yo, this is gonna die." I've been kidnapped myself. You know what I'm saying? So, and
those people they'll kill you.
Yeah. So I mean, they.
How do you know they're not gonna get?
Yo, I don't know about Al at this time, boy, but that dude does not let you get your answer out before he talks over you.
Get the stuff and not kill him. You don't.
Yeah, you don't. It's just a matter of how far they're willing to prove who they are and their point, and if they feel like you're a threat to
afterwards.
Come back to them afterwards as to whether you survive or live or not, or if the money's dropped off. And sometimes the money gets dropped off and they kill you anyway, just because they're,
want to kill somebody.
Yeah, they want to kill somebody. So, but at the level that they're at, everyone's an enemy. Everyone's looking to rob you.
Everyone got an angle. Everybody's been plotting. Everybody's been watching. They see every time you open your safe and show them something new you got. And when I say open up your safe, I mean that you rocking too many jewels, they know you got a safe full of jewels.
Everyone's fucking up drugs, not paying you, giving you a story about the feds came in and kicked my door in, creating fake paperwork, creating fake teams.
Scams, plots, plans, they constantly changing, they constantly in flux. Everybody got a new plan, everybody got a new angle. Every chance you get a new lie. The dog ate my homework, basically.
To come in and raid you.
So that someone could say, I saw it. Oh, wow.
So...
Wait a second, go, hold on. So you know of instances where people had stuff on consignment.
Yeah.
And they had
their
buddies dress up.
They staged it, took pictures, called, hey man, they're raiding them right now. This, that, and the other. So
wow.
When you talk about who was thrown under the bus, I can guarantee you that any person that they did throw under the bus was a motherfucker that was no good to them to begin with and backstabbed them at one point or other, owed them money, or was unloyal or unfaithful, because in this game, these guys jump plugs and go from one guy to another like they're changing underwear. When you don't have it, they're gonna go run to the other guy at the opposite spectrum and the other gang and go get work from them. And then when you get it, now they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. They pay you with their money. They pay them with your money, and things come up missing.
This is confirmation from another person that the people that they did rat on, the people that they did cooperate on, the people that they did full-on sting operations on, full-on undercover operations on, were all hood boogers and trash and the bottom of the barrel as far as it comes to their business. Does that make it any better? I don't think so. If you look at a game and at the end of that game you see yourself, you might have to cooperate with law enforcement, you stay out of that game. If you look down to the end of that road and it looks like you might be dead, stay out of that game.
And they're pancaking debt, and before you know it, the truth comes out.
But, so people, and now some regular, even street people that are watching this and think, well, okay, if people are owing, why are you giving them more stuff? But at that level, there's only so many people you can give 50 kilos to.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it's not like you can go replace them.
The people at our level and that played ball on our level are unicorns in the city. What I really want to just say is that, it's a classic Tony Montana line. I didn't fuck anybody who didn't have it coming to them already. That's just, this is movie shit, but it's reality. Like, we lived it.
At the end of the day, we could justify any of our actions however we like to.
That movie is fabricated. It's maybe based lightly on somebody's life, but, movies are fabricated. The shit you see in movies, I've lived through it. I've experienced it, and it's surreal to still be here, even in my situation with an ankle monitor on and, talking to you and telling my journey and my story and trying to clarify things and not piss anybody off. Like, I'm not here to discredit anybody. I'm here to tell the truth about who I am, who my friends were to me, what type of shit we were going through. Because I don't know if you knew everything that was going on in his life, whether it's a son of his, a mother of his, God rest his soul. I love him to death. I still miss him to this day.
KATO.
Yeah, and his face is on my back, and we had our disputes, we had our disagreements, we had our ups and our downs where we stopped fucking with each other. But like I said before, if you knew him, you knew it was always an up and down thing with him. Like, he wasn't always happy with you. You could easily piss him off, or he could easily get pissed off at you for doing something that he didn't really feel was in your character or in his best interest. Or if you talk to somebody that he didn't fuck with, all of a sudden he didn't fuck with you for that month or that week.
And to reiterate, so, in my stories, and this is just what I got from I'm getting it from the federal documents and the papers, that the Flores twins had KATO killed, but that's probably unlikely.
I mean, there's speculation. She went to jail for the dude.
Valerie.
Valerie went to jail for KATO.
She didn't tell on him. They did so much for him.
Listen, to say, oh, she didn't tell on him as that's some kind of virtuous thing, she don't seem like the type of person to tell. She wasn't with that when her husband came to her about it. She didn't tell on KATO, but she would have burned up her whole life outside of just KATO if she would have turned on him, if she would have told on him and cooperated. So that wasn't an opportune thing to do. An opportunist does what's opportune for them. They capitalize on opportunity.
Oh, they helped him in so many ways. They helped me in so many ways. I know that couldn't be a part of them or in them to do.
See, he believes that it wouldn't be a part of the twins in them or around them to do. But this is the same guy that told us when he met them that he realized after time that one of the twins was making comments as if he had been intimate with Val. And it took him a long time to figure that out. So you really don't know what's in people. But he's saying here he doesn't believe they had anything to do with killing KATO. He's attesting to the twins' character here. But he also attested to their character in another interview that one of the twins was talking like he had been intimate with Val prior to KATO's death.
What purpose would it have served?
Stance on all this, talking about purpose at all. They weren't big time. He wasn't really kingpin, and he knew El Chapo. Okay, so if you read the court documents and you've read the court documents, you know that the twins did not meet El Chapo.
They didn't meet much less him.
Okay, they didn't meet El Chapo until they got to Mexico. Okay,
which was at the end.
Okay, so How did he hire them to kill him? Because that's what they're saying that happened.
Oh, so well, it's a Hollywood movie. They just combine.
They're saying that the rumor is that El Chapo put the twins to kill KATO. And again, he's saying the timeline's off. I'm saying El Chapo ain't had nothing to do with it. I'm saying whatever happened between KATO and the Flores twins was between KATO and the Flores twins. And it maybe wasn't between both of them. Maybe it was between KATO and one of them. Guys that were making the money that they made didn't need any help or green light from anybody to be able to put a bag on somebody's head. They didn't need no blessing from El Chapo to go do whatever had to be done to whoever. They didn't need the blessing from El Chapo to fill KATO's shoes.
They take all the most
they take the good stuff out of every book and every movie and concoct this idea in their mind. And there's pain here.
Oh,
there's a mother that lost.
That's why
listen,
I don't
there's
like
a mother.
the fakeness about crime stuff.
Listen. There's a mother that lost their son. I don't have any children. I can't imagine what she's still going through this day and the void, of her situation. I know I have a void in my heart because I lost a friend. I lost a friend that was dear to me, that we were carrying out a mission, a dream that I wanted to fulfill and finish, not just for me, but just for his legacy. And to be trying to put a movie out with a bunch of shit that I just debunked right here for you in front of you, it's a huge disservice to his legacy and who he was as a person.
Let's be clear, Damien Cash does not agree with Fat Joe trying to make a movie about KATO. As far as he's concerned, they weren't tight like that. If y'all watch my shorts, there's a short that I got where Damien Cash says that he commissioned Fat Joe to come do a record for him, and that Fat Joe pulled out Pun's rhyme book and used it. I've never seen Fat Joe challenge or deny that specific piece of footage. Maybe he hasn't seen it, but he does say things in songs like, "They say I must have found Pun's rhyme book." So Damien Cash is saying right here that he's not happy with Fat Joe and them trying to do a KATO movie.
I don't care what he did on the street. I knew him as a man, and I knew who he was as a person, and that is a huge disservice to his legacy, because his kids are going to have to watch a bunch of hogwash that's fabricated and loosely based on a bunch of bullshit that you heard. This guy, he keeps prodding around like none of the right people, all of the Latin kings that he grew up with, I know who they are. The ones that really could tell you a part of his story and his child and his upbringing are not a part of none of this story that's going to be told. So I feel like I won't be watching for what? To see something be told that's incorrect? You want a story, talk to the real people that were really around him. No matter what you feel or what you think you don't know. You weren't in the circle. We didn't hang with Fat Joe like that. We had a friendship, a brotherhood with DMX. That was the only industry motherfucker we really
FX.
Drug war went on between Sinaloa and Beltran-Leyva cartels down in Mexico, and it was over who was going to service the largest drug customers in the U.S., of which the Flores twins were at the top of the list. Yeah. And this was near the end of your time with the Flores brothers, and
the audio's a little janky here. These guys decided to have a interview in downtown. A lot of wind, a lot of background noise.
Tell us about, your knowledge of what went on and then how they kind of got you out of it.
Yeah, well, we were trying to create separation. We had a music business that we were still doing together. I had Connected Records and Val had Plugged Entertainment, and we were trying to create separation between what we were doing, just because they knew they were headed down a slippery slope. So what ended up happening is when they got down there, they really kind of had to choose what side that they were going to really work with, and they really had no need for both cartels, so they chose.
Were they being forced to choose?
That's all speculative. That I don't think that it was like that. I think it was more like down a slippery slope. So what ended up happening is when they got down there, they really kind of had to choose what side that they were going to really work with, and they really had no need for both cartels, so they chose.
Were they being forced to choose?
That's all speculative. That I don't think that it was like that. I think it was more like pick your poison. Who
But
you're gonna roll.
Be with both.
Right, you're not gonna be with both. That's clear.
Was Beltran like Vaz with the Gulf Cartel, or they were their own thing?
Yeah, I believe he was his own thing, but
Gets pretty
still
complicated.
separate. They also separated. Beltran, Leyva, and Chapo were together at one point.
Yeah.
Then they separated, had beef.
It's really the Sinaloa Federation.
Yeah. So you're talking. I pretty much got put in position, and they sanctioned an okay. They kind of gave a blessing at the level that they're at. All they really had to say, yo, he's good. Deal with him. He can handle it. And they kind of somewhat let me handle some lower level clients of theirs. And
Who did they put you with?
Albino Quintero was cousins with KATO Quintero, which he was kind of the.
So evidently after 2003, when KATO passed away, Damien ended up working more with the twins. And this is him talking about the split between the two factions. It seems like it was more complicated than just a split between the two factions. It seems like they had been split and then it split off into something else again. The way he's talking makes it seem like less of a gun in your face moment to have to choose a side. As far as he's saying, it was more like a pick your poison, choose your side. You're not going to work with both. The way they sell it was a gun in the mouth moment and they needed to get out. And that's why they cooperated.
Oh, yeah.
The one of the main lieutenants. There was other underlings under.
An old man, Carl Quintero?
Yeah. So his cousin was kind of like running the show, and there was a few phone conversations here and there between myself and the associates who he sent to represent him here in Chicago, because he didn't really come here, but he came a few times. He was in the studio with us before the twins went on the run. They were taking care of both cartels, but they were in the studio with us, and hanging with us, and so they knew me from around them, so it wasn't hard for them to refer me and say, yeah, you remember, Cash from the studio, he's good, take care of him. And then they sent lieutenants out and people to kind of.
I wonder, how Damien Cash has said he had been kidnapped before? I wonder if he was the one one of the ones that got kidnapped when Lupe didn't want to stop the flow. When Lupe didn't want to close the pipeline and the twins were letting them know, look, we need the pipeline closed. One of our guys got kidnapped in Chicago. I wonder if it was Damien any of those times.
Oversee the whole operation and kind of hold things down, and but they gave me free reign to do what I needed to do, and that's kind of where my reign and run into the drug trade really started to happen. Prior to that, I was really like a lieutenant for the Flores brothers and running and a lieutenant to KATO before he died.
Interacting with people on that level, what's the logistics of a day in the life when a load is coming in, or you told me one?
Yeah, facilitating, warehouse space and where it's going to be delivered to, what time that's going to be delivered.
How do you find a warehouse?
Everybody's trying to make some money. The cleaning guy at a warehouse that has access and keys to the door will let you in their warehouse. The warehouse owner might not know, but you got a place behind closed doors to pull into and do your thing. Obviously you want talk with the owner and him know, but there's.
Did you use the same places over and over?
Nah, those keys get thrown away sometimes, and you change complete logistics of things, especially when you think things are going wrong in other places or things are getting hot, so you change those logistics around.
Some guys don't change logistics at all. They take the Chinese pseudo guys to Punta Mita that they already burned up. No, sometimes you don't change nothing.
On the level that we were playing at and me seeing and watching them operate, I kind of learned the game and what way to move, how to move. They were keen businessmen. At the end of the day, they weren't resorting to violence.
Tell me
And
that story about the second.
Again, it's the second time we heard that. They were keen businessmen that weren't resorting to violence. The only time we've ever heard of a rift between them and anyone, and the only time we've ever heard about a rift between them and KATO was when KATO wanted to separate himself from the business so that he could call his own shot. And Damien Cash made the decision to go off with him. And evidently after he passed away, he ended up working with the twins, Damien Cash. But again, this is another person that was there, that was in the mix, that was in the hustle, that was in the business, saying that these guys were keen businessmen and weren't with the violence.